Hello and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we're going to be doing another reading vlog. I'm going to be trying to read as much as I can this weekend. I do have a few other things on and I have a few books that I'd like to try and focus on and read quite a bit of. So we'll see how we go. 4 books I would like to try and read, maybe 5 because there's an audiobook I'm listening to, but I don't know how I'm going to go with making time for that one. So there are 4 books I'd kind of like to focus on. I'd like to at least finish 2, if not 3 of them, and start a 4th one. So we'll go through the TBR. The first one is my current read, and that is Flight of the Fallen. This is by Hannah Lee. This is the sequel to Road to Ruin. This is the Mage Bike Courier books, and I am really enjoying this. I'm just over halfway through it, so I know it won't take me too much longer to finish it, but I just love all these characters. This is like a Mad Max inspired fantasy world with lots of queer characters, and it's just so fun and so cool and so fast paced, and I just am really excited, but sad about finishing it because I loved book 1 so much and I'm really enjoying this and I don't want to leave the world, but I do really want to know what happens. So this will be my main focus at the beginning. Then I have a short book that I was hoping to read last vlog but just didn't get around to, and that is Comfort Me with Apples. This is by Catherine M. Valent. This is a novella. It's 100 and something pages, so I feel like it shouldn't take me too long. So I would like to try and read it if I can, something small to break up some of these other books. I don't really remember exactly what this is about, but I believe it's like a gothic fiction and has to do with like mysteries and everything. Then my main focus after finishing Flight of the Fallen is Schwab's new book. This is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I have been dying to read this for ages. Then the final book I would like to at least start is All's Well by Mona Awad. This was another one I showed in the other vlog. This is like a retelling of Shakespeare's All's Well That Ends Well. This has got to do with like someone having a bit of a breakdown as well, I believe, or like going through some sort of mental strain and mental issue and stuff, and it's got a lot to do with like mental health and stuff. So I'm very intrigued by this one. It is pretty thick and chunky, like it's 300 something pages, but it looks a lot more for some reason. So I am hoping I can at the very least start this, maybe get 50 to 100 pages through if I can. But that is my TBR, and we're gonna get just straight into the reading now. So I have finally finished a book, and I don't actually know where I left my Kindle, but I finally finished reading Flight of the Fallen by Hannah Lee. This is the sequel to Road to Ruin, or the second book in the Mage Bike Courier duology, I think it's a duology, but I really enjoyed this. I didn't know how exactly it would top Road to Ruin, because that was one of my favorite books I read recently, or sometime in the past few months-ish. I don't remember if I read it at the beginning of the year or end of last year. Everything mixes together. But I really didn't know how or if this would beat Road to Ruin, because that book was absolutely phenomenal. It's what pulled me out of a reading slump. I just felt like I was completely immersed and engrossed in that world and those characters, and it was just perfection. But this did it. This was absolutely amazing as well. I am so sad that it's over, but I'm so glad about the way everything kind of came together in the end and everything that happened. I loved that world and those characters so much. It is honestly perfection. But that was my first book of the Prideopoly challenge as well, the like Pride Monopoly board sort of thing, and I've just rolled another one, and I'm a little bit disappointed by what I ended up getting with, just because it's a genre or type of book I don't really read a lot of, so my options were literally just limited to one thing, but at least I did have one thing. But I rolled and landed on the community chest, and I did that prompt and it sent me back one, so I ended up landing on poetry. I'm not playing on expert mode for this, so I don't have to match it to the flag, but the only queer poetry collection I did have is the poetry of Emily Dickinson, so I'm going to try and read this. I'm just very slow with reading poetry, so I'm a bit worried about not being able to get to other books for the challenge, but I'm going to see how I'm going to go. I'm probably going to try and read quite a few poems of this tonight and maybe try and get it done in the next few days, because it is short and theoretically shouldn't take me long. So if I can read it every morning and night for the next few days and just read a few poems, I feel like I should get to it pretty soon, or get through it pretty soon. Hopefully, we'll see. But I am going to probably move on to something else. I have an audiobook I'm still listening to. I haven't really listened to much of it, but I've been kind of wanting to play Pokemon and I need to put away laundry, so I might listen to it while I do those. But there's 2 physical books I'm going to be moving on to and reading a bit of today. The first one is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is their newest book. This is Toxic Lesbian Vampires. Very excited about this. We've got different characters from different eras and time periods that have been turned into vampires, and I'm very excited. I cannot wait to delve into this, so I'm probably going to get into it soon. I'm going to go look for my sticky tabs though, so I can match them to the cover and annotate it. I'm also going to be starting He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I was hoping to roll something on the Prideopoly board that would match this, but I'm just going to pick it up because this is a book club read, so I'd like to be involved with it in the conversation and stuff on Fable, so I'm going to try and get to this soon. This also fills out some of the prompts for the Pride Bingo challenge that I'm doing as well. That's kind of where I'm at. I have another video I want to film. I'm going to film a review of Flight of the Fallen for my TikTok. I also wanted to go through and count my physical TBR because I feel like I've messed it up somewhere, so I might make a video out of that for TikTok too. And yeah, like I said, I've got some laundry to put away, and I'll probably listen to my audiobook while doing that, and I might also listen to my audiobook while I am making dinner. I don't actually remember if I said what the audiobook I've been listening to is, but let me get it up. So I am listening to Every Heart a Doorway. This is by Shannon McGuire. I don't remember how to pronounce the author's name. I'll have to check on that. But this is like a fantasy sort of novella, and we've got, I believe, asexual characters in it, but I really enjoyed the first chapter I listened to. It's kind of like a fantastical thing where there's these different doorways that kind of appear when different people need them, and it transports them to different worlds, and our setting is like this school for kids, I guess, who've been through those doorways and have returned to their life and are different. Like one of our characters, she was in the underworld of sorts and was frozen, or pretending to be a statue and frozen for ages and stuff, and had something to do with the devil. Interesting, but I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I'm literally only on to chapter 2, so I've got quite a lot to go, but I would like to listen to as much of this as I can. I think I can probably speed it up as well. I don't know what speed I'm listening to it on. I'm listening on 1.5, so I can probably end up speeding that up once I get my brain into it a bit, but I'm going to stop rambling now and go on, move on with that stuff. I'll probably quickly film those videos now, and then I will move on to doing some reading and pick up one of these two, but we'll see where we go. I also need to edit a video today because it was meant to go up earlier today, but I couldn't be bothered to edit it last night. I was just too exhausted. So I'm going to actually try and get around to do that today, so it goes up tomorrow morning sometime. Even though it'll be late, at least it'll be up this week. But yeah, I'm going to go now. Okay, so it has been a while since I did a little reading update, and the lighting is kind of bad, so I've got like my phone torch on, so sorry if there's shadows and everything. But I finished listening to an audiobook this past week, and that was Every Heart a Doorway. This is a very short book as well. I think the audiobook was like 4.5 hours, so it was a very quick and easy read and just so fun. I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I knew it would be something I would enjoy because I had heard quite a lot of good things from it, and it's definitely something I had a lot of fun with. But this is kind of like a fantasy-ish novella. It's set in this school for children and teenagers and kids that have come back through other doorways and been in other worlds, and there's like different kinds of worlds and different rankings of them. There's like no nonsense or nonsense worlds and stuff like that. And it's also a murder mystery as well, because someone is killing all the students there, and it's just so interesting and fun and such an easy read. It reminded me a lot of the Wednesday TV show in some ways, and I thought it was a very fun and unique book, and I'm definitely going to be continuing the series. In this book, we also had asexual representation and trans representation, along with other LGBT characters, but those were two of the main ones, and I just really enjoyed this. I also ended up starting another audiobook, and that is You Had Me at Ola, and I am really enjoying this. I am just over halfway, almost 3/4, well, not quite 3/4 of the way yet, but over halfway, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really fun. This is a contemporary romance. It's kind of set in like the telenovela, drama, soapy TV world, which I'm really enjoying, and the characters are really fun and nice. I saw a review recently from a friend on TikTok of book 2 and it just sounded so good that I'm like, I should pick these up. So I picked up the audiobook, and the narration is just so good. So I'm really enjoying this as like a little romance to break things up. But the main book I have been working on is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is her newest book. If you can see behind me, I've also kind of flipped around my V.E. Schwab shelf and another shelf so I could have more room to fit everything on. But I'm just over 300 pages into this now. I haven't been reading too much this week just because I've been so exhausted all the time. But what I have read of this, I'm absolutely loving. It is so good. Just V.E. Schwab is such an incredible writer and author, and I just always forget that. And then I pick up one of their books and I'm like, yes, it's so good. I just know I am gonna love everything that V.E. Schwab does. But this is perfection. So I don't know if I've actually spoken about what this is about, but this is V. Schwab's toxic lesbian vampire book, something that she teased ages ago, and I knew it was something I needed to read because I read her short story First Kill, which is a vampire and monster hunter romance short story, and it's just perfection. I'm still so sad that TV show got cancelled. It wasn't the best, but it was just so fun and really sweet. But I'm happy that we have a full-length vampire book from her, let alone, especially like that it's a lesbian book, because not a single one of her books has strictly lesbian characters in it. We've got lots of queer representation in her books, but none with a main cast of lesbians, which I love. But in this, we follow 3 different POVs. We've got 3 different characters that we follow. One is Maria. She is a young woman in Spain, and it's her trying to fight for her own life and her power and to break out, and the challenges she faces along the way. She is such a strong and messed up character as well. She makes some very dark decisions, but I absolutely love her so much. Our other character is Charlotte, or Lottie, which we haven't seen a lot from, but I've just got into the first chunk that is actually from her, and she is in England in 1827, so it's like during the ton kind of thing, like Bridgerton things with the the season and whatever it is when they do all that stuff. And I haven't explored too much for her character, but I do like what I've read, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes. And then our final character is Alice, who I think might be my favourite. She is a young Scottish girl who's just moved to Boston to go to college, and it is set in, her POVs are set in 2019. And I'm getting up to where I guess they're all going to collide, and I'm very excited to see where that goes. But just V. Schwab's writing in this is so beautiful. All of their voices are so strong, and like all of these characters are just so well fleshed out and just so well crafted. Especially I noticed with Alice just how evident her anxiety is in the way that it's written, with the run-on sentences upon run-on sentences to convey that anxious feeling and the anxiety. It's just so well done. I'm really enjoying this. But I'm going to be continuing this tonight. I don't know if I'm going to finish it tonight because I am a bit of a slow reader, and I have been kind of annotating this, if you can see, but I'm going to see how I can go. We also are planning on watching 28 Days Later tonight, I think, or sometime this weekend, because both me and my partner have never seen it, and we really want to see the new one as well. So we're going to watch the first 2 over the next week or so, 2 weeks, and then try and see the newest one. It took me forever to try and actually find this movie because there was the whole issue with it being taken off streaming services and not being available anywhere because digital media sucks. So I found the DVD of both movies on eBay for pretty cheap because for a while they were really expensive. So we're going to be hopefully watching that tonight. But that is where I'm at. I also kind of tried to dye my hair. I got one of those color depositing conditioners. I've used the brand before, but a rose gold, and I got a brown color, but I think it definitely needs more. It's a bit more brown, but I think because my hair was so light and like coppery toned and red toned, I think it's going to need a few more layers and a few more times to marinate and really soak in, you know. But that is currently where I'm at. I'm, like I said, gonna go do some more reading for a bit. It's kind of getting cold now, so I think I'm gonna close all the blinds and get all rugged up on the couch. It's also been raining a tiny bit, so I am gonna get into that now. Wrap up the vlog here, call quits here. I have finally finished Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and I've finished 2 other books. I don't remember how much I spoke about one of them, but I was listening to Every Heart a Doorway as an audiobook, and I really enjoyed this. This is book 1 in like a 7 or 8 or 9 book series, and I think I'm definitely going to be continuing these. I'm just going to try and figure out somewhere else I can listen to the audiobooks, but we'll see how we go. I also finished the main book I was trying to work on, which was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I'm still on the fence about what exactly I'm going to rate this. It's, I think, around the 4-star mark. It's not quite 5 stars, but I think it's higher than 3.75. So I think it might just be a solid 4 stars. I really, really love V.E. Schwab's writing. This is like such a perfect blend of Addie LaRue and kind of like Gallant vibes, like those more gothic things. I just have a few issues with this. I really did love all of the characters in their own ways. I thought all of their voices were really strong. I thought they were all really interesting and unique characters and really well crafted. But the way that it kind of came together is what I think was a thing that brought my rating down, because we were so attached to Sabine throughout most of this book, but then once we got more from a different character, Sabine kind of dwindled away and we didn't really get anything from her perspective for the last good like chunk or so, I think. And then Alice as well, we kind of like lost her a bit when we were focusing on someone else. I just wish maybe that there'd been a bit more from all of them in their own ways. Like it was it was really good. Like, I still love the writing, but I thought this would be a lot darker and grittier, and they all are toxic, but I thought they'd be a bit more toxic, you know, but I still did have a really good time with this. I just don't think I can rate it 5 stars because I just felt like it was lacking quite a few things with the different characters in the end, but it's still incredible. If you do want to read some vampire books, this is perfect. Also perfect for Pride because it is full of lesbians, but I did really enjoy the ending. It was very, not what I expected, but quite satisfying at the same time and very much living up to the toxic lesbian vampire name. But I did still have a good time reading this. Then the last book I ended up reading, I actually finished while I was at my mum's house because I ended up going and seeing family and friends. I didn't film too much while we were there just because we were quite busy, but we filmed a bit from the drive home, which you would have seen. But I ended up reading A Guest in the House by E.M. Carroll, and I really enjoyed this. I think the ending is, again, maybe the thing that brought my rating down of this. I thought the story was really interesting and intriguing. The art style is absolutely gorgeous. You would have seen some of the panels while I was like reading through it, but let me find you a good one. But yeah, I think the art style is just gorgeous, and the way that the color comes in at certain times when we have to do with certain characters, I thought was really interesting and unique. But it just felt a little bit incomplete, or maybe not incomplete. The ending was just a bit confusing and quite abrupt, and I'm not quite sure that what I think happened actually happened. I don't know, it just was a very abrupt ending, and I still thought it was really good, but the ending was just not what I expected, and I wish we got a little bit more and a little bit more of a wrap up. Those are all of the books I read. I did make progress on a few others, so I have been listening to You Had Me at Ola. So I'm on chapter 30 of 42 chapters. I have got about 3 hours left out of the 10-hour audiobook. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it before the end of the month, but we shall see how we go. I also ended up reading a tiny bit of He Who Drowned the World. I was again hoping to read this before the end of the month, but I just have been struggling with reading, so it hasn't happened. I am just about to start chapter 4. I was doing a tandem read of this with the audio and the physical book, but I think I'm just going to stick to physical because I think I'm about to lose access to the audiobook. So we'll see how I go. I'm going to try and keep reading this throughout July and see how we go. Then I also ended up just reading the first short story in 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart and Other Stories by Jenna Rose Nethercott. I think I'm going to slowly just make my way through this and read them every now and then and just have it as something to take me slow throughout the month of July. But that is it for this vlog. I'm just going to call it quits here now. Hopefully this ended up being okay. I feel like I've done no reading lately, especially since this has been over so many weeks now. But I'm hoping I can try and get back into more reading in July. But we'll see how we go. I just have I don't know, I've started a new role at work, so I'm exhausted all the time and don't have time to read. I think I need to switch up what genres I am reading as well and see if that helps. But yeah, that is it. I will see you all with a new video next time. Hopefully we can do a lot more reading in the next vlog as well. But let me know what your favorite book you've read recently is, and if you have read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil and what you thought of it, because I feel like I've been seeing quite a lot of mixed things about it. But that is it. I will see you all next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.